Good evening, everyone. Very good evening. So we are live for another session of CMA revision paper number 8. So please join quickly, and all those who are joining in, please let me know if audio and the video is clear. Okay, so we are live, I guess. Yes. And just let me know quickly. All those who are live, just let me know if the audio and the video is clear. Come on, quickly join in, guys. Good evening, Sonali, Suresh. Good evening. Good evening. Okay, clear. That's fine. राम राम अभिषेक, कैसे हो? क्लियर है, ठीक है जी. ऑल सेट. चलो, बस 2 मिनट वेट करेंगे सो दैट मोर स्टूडेंट्स ज्वाइन इन. जिनको भी ज्वाइन करना है वो लोग ज्वाइन कर लें अगले 2 मिनट में. उसके बाद हम लोग आज करने क्या वाले हैं, आज का हमारा एजेंडा है. सबसे पहले तो कॉस्ट शीट हम लोग फटाफट से डिस्कस करेंगे कि कॉस्ट शीट क्या होता है. ठीक है, उसका फॉर्मेट मैंने ले रखा है सर. उसके बाद कॉस्ट शीट के बाद हम लोग कॉस्ट अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम्स का जो हमारा चैप्टर है वो डिस्कस करेंगे. ठीक है, उसके बाद कॉस्ट अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम्स मैंने पूरा प्रिपेयर करके रख लिया सर आप लोगों के लिए. हम लोग इसकी डिस्कशन करेंगे कि किस तरह से हम लोग जर्नल एंट्रीज अलग अलग तरह से इसका ट्रीट करते हैं, किस तरह से आपको अकाउंट्स बनाने हैं. ठीक है, अगर एग्जाम में कॉस्ट अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम्स के ऊपर क्वेश्चन आता है तो आपको डील किस तरह से करना है उस क्वेश्चन के साथ, और किस तरह से आपको, गुड इवनिंग रूपक, किस तरह से आपको क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व करना है. ठीक है, तो उसके बाद देखेंगे सर, अगर टाइम मिला तो शायद रिकंसिलेशन वाला पार्ट भी कर लें. तो 3 चैप्टर ऑल इन ऑल अगर हम लोग देखें तो 3 चैप्टर जो है हम लोग इसमें आज कवर कर जाएंगे. बढ़िया सर, 3 चैप्टर एक दिन में कवर हो जाएंगे, बहुत अच्छी बात है. उसके बाद हम लोग चलेंगे सर फिर यूनिट एंड बैच, सिंपल है. जॉब कॉस्टिंग सिंपल है. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कॉस्टिंग पे चलेंगे. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, प्रोसेस है, जॉइंट प्रोडक्ट है. फटाफट से इनको निपटाते चले चलेंगे. ठीक है ना. और संडे की क्लास भी रहेगी. आई लेट यू नो द टाइमिंग्स की संडे की क्लास कब होगी. ठीक है, और कितनी देर की होगी. संडे को हो सकता है कि थोड़ी लंबी क्लास ले ले हम लोग, बट सर मेरा अदर बैच भी चल रहा है तो उसके अकॉर्डिंग मुझे प्लान करना पड़ेगा कि संडे की क्लास जो है वो कितनी देर की होगी सर. ठीक है ना, तो मैं अकॉर्डिंगली आप लोगों को प्लान करके इन्फॉर्म करूंगा. ऑल गुड, चलो बहुत अच्छी बात है. अगर एग्जाम्स टाइम में आप लोग कह रहे हो सर ऑल गुड, तो दिस इज अ वेरी पॉजिटिव साइन. बहुत अच्छी बात है ये चीज. तो अगर एग्जाम से कुछ दिन पहले भी आपका जो डिटर्मिनेशन है, आपकी जो मोटिवेशन है वो ये है कि सर ऑल गुड, तो बहुत अच्छी बात है ये, तो है कि नहीं. क्योंकि नॉर्मली एग्जाम्स के पास आकर ना थोड़ा सा बच्चा घबराने लगता है. गुड इवनिंग जयंत, गुड इवनिंग. तो रेगुलर वाले बच्चे तो आ रहे हैं भाई. अभिषेक है, जयंत है, सोनाली वाज देयर, सुरेश वाज देयर. ठीक है ना, तो जो रेगुलर बच्चे आ रहे हैं वो तो आ रहे हैं. तो बस अपने आप को ना पॉजिटिव माइंडसेट में रखना. आपके एग्जाम्स बहुत अच्छे जाएंगे, बिल्कुल घबराने की बात नहीं है. कल की क्लास शायद ना हो पाए, मैं अभी कंफर्म नहीं करूंगा. उसका कारण ये है सर, 2 कारण है. एक तो पर्सनल कारण है, थोड़ा पर्सनल काम भी है. और दूसरी चीज है कि कल अगर सीए का सिलेबस आ गया तो उसका शायद रिव्यू या कुछ उसके ऊपर थोड़ा बहुत चर्चाओं के कारण मे बी कल की क्लास ना हो पाए. बट कोशिश करूंगा कि कल की क्लास भी हो हमारी. ठीक है ना, क्योंकि मैं हर चीज को इक्वली वे करके चलना चाहता हूं. बट अगर कहीं मुझे बाहर ट्रेवल करना है, अगर वापस ना आ पाया टाइम से, तो हो सकता है कि क्लास कल की ना हो. आई विल इन्फॉर्म. गुड इवनिंग कृतिका. Okay, so tomorrow might be we are not having the class, but I will inform. Okay, so I was talking in Hindi. I forgot that there are many English students also. Sorry, sir. Sorry. But this much all of you must have understood, right? Tomorrow I will inform whether we'll be having the class or not, and the Sunday class timings also I will confirm. Right, sir? Okay, so let's start with this topic of cost sheet. What is this cost sheet, sir? Cost sheet is a statement from where we can find out that how to set the selling price of a product, what is the total cost being incurred in the manufacturing of a product, and along with that, what is the profit that we are earning on that product. So that is all the thing that cost sheet provides, right, all the information. It's okay, Nitesh. It's totally individual choice. It's totally individual choice, right? It's okay. All those who want to focus on questions, they can focus on questions. All those who want to focus on the concepts, right, they can focus on the concepts, right? But one thing is sure, that without concepts under doing the questions makes no sense. You will not be able to attempt in the paper, right? In the paper, what will help is first the conceptual understanding. And at this point, what I always suggest my student is that near the exams you should focus more on the conceptual understanding and conceptual revision. Okay, today we will be covering cost sheet, cost accounting systems, and if time allows, the reconciliation also, right, Fardeen? Thank you, Nitesh. Thank you for doing your job of sharing, right? Thank you so much. Okay. So now what is the detailed format of the cost sheet? This is the detailed format. The first important element is the material cost, right? So material cost, which material is to be taken here? The first and the foremost thing is you have to take the material consumed here. So first thing that you have to take is the material consumed. For that, it is not uh, always there that you are directly given the material consumption. In some of the cases, you might have to calculate the material consumption. How will you calculate it? Sir, opening stock of raw material, plus if there is any purchases of the raw material, plus if there is any carriage or freight inwards, plus the cost of packing, plus other expenses and the duties, right? All these will form the part of the cost of my raw material. Just remember one thing always, the cost of any cost which is incurred from the time the raw material is ordered till the time the raw material comes to your godown, any cost incurred in between, whether it is the insurance cost, whether it is the carriage or the freight cost, right? So all these things will form the part of your cost of raw material, minus if there is any sale of scrap of packages, that is if you are selling the raw material as such in the form of scrap. Right now, scrap can be of two types. One is the scrap of the raw material and one is the scrap of the finished goods. Here you have to take what? Here you have to take the scrap of raw material. Scrap of raw material, yes, minus the closing stock of raw material will give you the direct material consumed. How much of the direct material? Because what we are preparing the cost sheet for the number of units which have been manufactured, right? So that we can set the selling price, so that we can know what is the profit that we are earning on those goods. So for that, what you have to take? What will be my direct material consumption? After that, the direct labor cost will be there. Direct expenses can be there. Direct expenses can be like royalty based on number of units. So if there is any royalty based on number of units, that will be your direct expense. So from here you will get the prime cost plus factory or works overheads, any overheads which are related to production, right? For example, the salary of the workers, right? Salary of the foreman, salary of the manager who is managing the production area, depreciation of the plant and machinery. All these are what? All these are the overheads related to the production, right? So all those overheads you have to take up here. Then gross factory cost, then adjust the WIP to find out the cost incurred on the goods which are manufactured, right? Add opening WIP less closing WIP, net factory cost, right? After that, you have to take up the expenses which are related to production, other expenses which are other overheads which are related to production, that is administration overheads related to production. Now administration overheads also has a role, sir. If I talk about the admin overheads, if I talk specifically about the admin overheads can be given related to production, or they can be general administration overheads, right? If they are related to production, then you have to take it here. If they are related to production, you have to take it here. But if they are general administration overheads, then do not take it in the cost of production. Then where to take it, I'll let you know, right? After that, quality control cost, if there is any research and development cost, if there is any primary packaging cost, then minus the credit for recoveries or the sale of scrap or miscellaneous. Now this is the scrap. This is scrap during FG production, scrap during FG production, right? Now, what is the primary packaging cost? The packaging is also of two types. If you talk about packaging, sir, the packaging is again of two types. The one is the primary packaging and the second one is the secondary packaging. Right? So what is primary packaging? Primary packaging is the packaging which is required to store the product. The initial packing that is required to store the product. For example, there is a pickle, there is honey. The glass bottle is required to store that product, isn't it? Otherwise, can you take it in the hand and sell it? No, sir. You require the packing. That is a primary packing, which is taken up in the cost of production. And what about the secondary packing? It is the packing which is required for the sales purposes. For the sales purposes. Good evening, Harshit. Right? That is known as secondary packing. So in the cost of packing, you have to take only related to the primary packing. Then the adjustment for the opening and the closing stock of the finished goods to find out how much units you have sold and what is the cost incurred on those units sold. So his cost of goods sold. Earlier we have calculated the cost of production. Now, the opening stock of finished goods in most of the cases will be given to you, but you will have to calculate the closing stock of finished goods, right? Let's say this cost of production is 10 lakh rupees, right? On the manufacturing of 1 lakh units, right? On you have manufactured 1 lakh units and the cost that is incurred is 10 lakh rupees. Your closing stock of goods is 10,000 units. Now, how will you calculate the cost of finished goods? Sir, you will say that 10 lakh is the cost. So you will say that for 1 lakh units, what is the cost that is incurred? That is 10 lakh. And what is then the number of units which are in stock? What is the cost for those units? That is 10 lakh divided by 1 lakh multiplied by 10,000. So this is how the closing stock of finished goods will be calculated. In most of the cases, you will be required to calculate the closing stock of finished goods, right? This is based on FIFO method. This is based on FIFO method. The FIFO method says that whatever the opening stock is, we have already sold, right? So whatever the closing stock is left is out of the fresh production. So in most of the cases, FIFO method will be there, but in case you have to use the weighted average method, in that case you will say if 10,000 units are manufactured fresh multiplied by what is the cost of production per unit, let's say it is 10 rupees plus opening units multiplied by opening rate divided by 10,000, that is the fresh production plus opening units. So this is how you can calculate on the basis of weighted average also, right? If nothing is mentioned, use the FIFO method. If nothing is mentioned in the question, you have to use the FIFO method, sir. Clear? After that, the selling and distribution expenses will be there and the general administration expenses. That is what I told you, that the administration expenses can be related to production and can be related to general. The production one, we are taking it in the cost of production, and the general we are taking it up here. And also add here one more thing, sir. Add here the secondary packaging cost. If you are given the secondary packaging cost, it will also be added here, because it will form the part of selling and distribution expenses. It will form the part of selling and distribution expenses. Okay, Rupak, I will repeat it. Right? Then cost of sales, add profit, sales value, add a GST, then the sales value including the GST. Okay, listen to the Rupak is asking for the calculation of the finished goods, sir, isn't it? For the finished goods, if the FIFO method is there, then it is simple, sir. Which formula, Rupak, you want? You want the formula for weighted average? You want the formula for weighted average, Rupak? Just let me know. I'll take it up again if you want the formula for weighted average. Okay, listen to it. Now, what is weighted average? Listen to it. Calculation of finished goods. I'll explain it because this is important. I'll explain both now. I'll explain FIFO also and I'll explain weighted average also, right? Calculation of closing stock of FG. Right? So I say there are two methods. One is the FIFO method, right? One is the opening stock will be given, Rupak. The opening stock of value of the opening stock will be given in the question, right? Because there is no way you can calculate the opening stock value, right? Opening stock will be given in the question. In 99.9% cases, it will be given to you, right? Another method is the weighted average method. Another method is the weighted average method, right? Now, how to do it? Listen to it very carefully. How to go about with this? When we are talking about the FIFO method, let's say you have opening stock of 1000 units at the rate of rupees 15 per unit, right? This is the opening stock value given to you. Production during the year, what is your production? Let's say 10,000 units. Let's say 10,000 units, and the production cost per unit is rupees 12 per unit. Now you say you have a closing stock of, let's say, 8,000 units. How will you calculate the value of this 8,000 on the basis of FIFO? Now FIFO method says first in, first out. That means whenever you are selling the product, which product you will sell first? Sir, you will first sell the opening stock. After that, you will sell from the fresh production as per the FIFO method, because this is the logic of FIFO method. What comes first? It should be kicked out first. So that means this 1000 is already sold. Whatever this closing stock is left, it is left from this 10,000 only. 1000 is already sold. Okay, let's not take 8,000. It is too much, sir. Let's take 3,000. Right? So whatever is sold, this 1000 is already sold. So this 3,000 is out of this production only. So what will be your value of closing stock? Value of closing stock will be 3,000 units multiplied by 12, right? That is 36,000. Clear? Just let me know if the FIFO method is clear, then I will move on to the weighted average method. Quickly, let me know if the FIFO method is clear. Okay, then I will move on to the weighted average. Now, under the weighted average, what I will do is the same example. If I have to calculate the same example by weighted average method, I'll calculate a weighted average rate. How, sir? The quantity of the opening multiplied by the rate plus the quantity of the fresh production 10,000 multiplied by the rate divided by total quantity. So this will be 15,000 plus 1,20,000 divided by 11,000. Right? So this will be plus 15,000 divided by 11,000. The rate will come out to 12.27. Right? So on this basis, you will be valuing now. What will be the value of closing stock? What will be the value of closing stock? That will be 3,000 units multiplied by 12.27. Right? So 3,000 multiplied by 12.27, that will be 36,810. So this is how it can be calculated on the basis of weighted average method. Clear? Rupak, is it clear now? Correct. Any doubts in this thing? Or any doubts in the cost sheet part? See, you have to be very careful with the small things. One is the scrap part, you have to be very careful with that, whether the scrap is of direct raw material or whether the scrap is during the production process. It will be treated accordingly. Secondly, the administration point, whether it is related to production or whether it is general administration overheads. Third is the packaging cost, whether it is the primary packaging cost or whether it is the secondary packaging cost. Secondary packaging cost will be taken up where? Sir, in the selling and distribution expenses. So these are the small areas that you need to be careful in the cost sheet part. Clear? Okay, so we are done with the cost sheet part. Let's move on to the next topic. Write down the next topic, that is cost accounting systems. Right, so the next topic is that we are going to cover is cost accounting systems. Now, what is cost accounting system? It is the proper maintenance of the cost accounting books, right? That how you record the books, how you record the books of accounts. No doubts. Okay, so we will be moving on to cost accounting systems now. Great. Okay. So cost accounting system is how you are going to maintain the books of account. There are two ways in which you can maintain. The first way is the integrated books. The integrated books are the books where a single set of books is being created for the costing records as well as the financial records. There are no separate books being maintained. There is a single set of books which is being maintained. The second is the most important one. This is the most important one. That is the non-integrated books. In most of the cases, 99% chances there that if you get a question from this, you will get a question from non-integrated books. Clear? Okay. So in the non-integrated books, what is there? The separate cost and financial books are being prepared. After that, they will be reconciled. That is another chapter. That is the reconciliation. Right. So the first thing is a separate books of the cost and the financial records will be maintained. Clear? And when you are preparing for the non-integrated books, you will have to prepare only the nominal account. What are the nominal accounts? Sir, purchase, sale, which are closed within a year, expenses, right, which are for that particular year only. And for the real and the personal accounts, you will open one single account that is known as GLA account or the CLC account. That is the General Ledger Adjustment account or the Cost Ledger Control account, right? This is known as General Ledger Adjustment account. General Ledger Adjustment account. And this is known as Cost Ledger Control account. It means cost ledger. It means one and the same thing, right? The same name for the different people. That's it. The same name for the different people, right? Now, when we are talking about the separate, now we will learn about the various journal entries under the non-integrated books, that how the non-integrated books are being maintained. So for the journal entries, for studying the journal entries, I divide it into 4 parts. One is the material, all the entries related to the material we will study, then all the entries related to labor, then overheads, and then the finished goods, right? So the first segment starts with the material. So what will be the first entry or what will be the first process related to material? Sir, you will buy the material. If you want to start with the manufacturing process or if you want to start with any process, what is the first step? The first step is buying the material. Unless and until you have the material, you cannot do anything, right? So the first step will be you will buy the material. So what will be the entry for the purchase of material plus the entry for the freight inwards? Sir, I told you just a few minutes back, I told you that if there is any expense which is related to the purchase, any expense from the time the material is ordered till the time the material is received inside your factory, all those expenses will be covered as a part of cost of the material, right? So the entry will be SLC, that is the Stores Ledger Control account to GLA account. So what is SLC? SLC is Stores Ledger Control account. Stores Ledger Control account. Right? So this will be what will happen, sir, when you will purchase the material will come inside your factory. Otherwise in the financial books, what would have been the entry? In the financial books, the entry would have been sales to sorry, not sales. The entry would have been purchases to cash. Purchases, or if it is a personal account, RAM account debit to cash account, to cash or bank account, isn't it? Now, instead of this purchases or the RAM, we are using the terminology SLC, that is the stores ledger control account debit, and cash and bank account we cannot use, right? So instead of that, we are using to GLA account. Clear? This is how the entry is from the financial books. Now, if there is a return of material, the entry will be reversed. That is GLA to stores. The stores will be reduced and your cash balance, because you will get the refund for that, your cash balance will increase. Then issue of direct material. Now the direct material is there in your store. It will be issued for the different purposes within the factory. The raw material, this direct material is stored in your store now. You have purchased it, you have kept it in a store, right? Now it will be issued for the various purposes. If it is issued for the production, then it will be absorbed in the production. That is WIP, ledger control account debit to SLC. The stores will reduce your production. The production is represented by the WIP, that is the work in progress, that will increase. So entry will be WIP to SLC. Always debit what is being increased and credit what is being decreased, right? If it is for the factory or if it is for the repairs purposes, it will be factory overheads control account debit to SLC. If it is for the office and administration part, then office and administration to SLC. If it is related to sales and distribution, then it will be sales and distribution overheads control account debit to SLC account, right? So this is regarding the issue of direct material. It can be issued for the various purposes. After that, it is the loss of material. If the material is lost, now the loss can be of two types. One is the abnormal loss. The second one is the normal loss. If it is abnormal loss, the abnormal loss is always and always taken to where? Costing, profit and loss account, sir. Abnormal loss is always taken to costing, profit and loss account. And what about the normal loss? Who will bear the expenses of the normal loss? Who will bear the burden of the normal loss? Sir, your good units. Your good units will bear the burden of the normal loss. And what are your good units? They are your WIP. So it will be absorbed in the WIP. WIP control account debit to SLC, because the cost of WIP, that means the cost of good units which are being manufactured, it will increase, right? Then transfer of material from one job to another job. The receiving job will be debited. Job 108, this is the receiving job, and the sending job will be credited, right? Receiving job will be debited and the sending job will be credited. After that, if there is any sale of material, if you are selling the raw material as such, without converting it into finished goods, if you are selling the raw material as such, then what will be the entry? The entry will be GLA to SLC with the sale proceeds. The GLA will be taken with the sale proceeds, that is cash. Let's say you sold it for 20,000. This is the sale price to SLC. Now the stores will reduce by the cost. The cost is 17,000. The rest is what? You have earned a profit of 3,000. The profit will be taken to costing P&L account, 3,000. Right? Costing P&L account if profit. On the other hand, if the cost had been 27,000, right, and you are selling it for 20,000, then here you would have costing P&L, that is the loss of 7,000. So that is what is taken here, costing P&L if loss, right? This is the sale of material if you are selling the raw material as such. Any doubts in the material part? These are all the entries related to material. Just let me know if there are any doubts related to the material part. Then we'll move on to the wages. Just let me know quickly. All clear? So please note this down. These are important. If you already have the notes, that's fine. I've just presented in the flowchart form so that it is easy for you to revise at the last moment also, right? So you can prepare in this format if you want to. Later on also you can prepare. You can pause the video and then you can just try to prepare these this way. Okay. After that, coming to the wages, sir, in the wages, we have just two entries. One is the wages incurred. When you are incurring the wages, it will be wages control account debit to GLA account. Simple. Wages to cash. The entry in the financial books will be wages account debit to cash account, right? So instead of cash, we have used the word GLA here. Now the wages can be related to the direct labor and the indirect labor. Sir, then the allocation is there. Allocation is the direct labor will be taken to WIP ledger control account and the indirect part will be taken to factory overheads control account. So how much of the total wages paid is related to the direct labor and how much of it is related to the indirect labor, you have to bifurcate that. It will be mentioned in the question that how much is related to the direct labor and how much is related to the indirect labor. Just two entries, that's it. Right? After that, coming to overheads, again incurred part, the overheads are incurred, the factory overheads control account debit to GLA. When you are now here, you have absorbed overheads. Where will you absorb the overheads? You will absorb it in the production, that is WIP. Because what is the ultimate procedure? The ultimate procedure is that you have to identify the overheads in the 1 unit of finished product. How will you identify? Only if you will absorb it in the WIP, that is the units being manufactured. Right? So it will be WIP ledger control account debit to factory overheads control account. Now, if there is under or over absorption, the treatment is same as discussed earlier, as in the chapter of overheads yesterday itself. Yesterday itself, we have the treatment of over and under absorption. The treatment is same here. The journal entries will remain same here, sir. We have already discussed the journal entry. Here we have discussed, see, if it is due to the abnormal reasons, the journal entry will be taken to costing P&L account. Right? It will be taken to costing P&L account. Costing P&L to factory overheads or factory overheads to costing P&L. Right? So it will be same as in discussed earlier. Now, if office and administration overheads incurred to GLA, simple, sir. Now, if they are absorbed to WIP, absorbed to WIP means the office and administration overheads are related to production. Right? Then WIP to office and administration overheads control account. But if they are not related to production, if they are general administration overheads, then you will directly absorb it to finished goods. That is the FG ledger control account debit to office and administration overheads control account. Right? So this is regarding the office and administration overheads. If nothing is mentioned, you can take it related to production or general, do it anyways. Right? And these entries are the most important part. Why these entries are the most important, sir? Because after this, when you have to prepare the accounts, the various account, the stores ledger control account, WIP, if you know the journal entry, only then you will be able to do the posting part. Right? Now, the last segment is the finished goods. What is there in the finished goods, sir? Firstly, the WIP will be converted into finished goods. The WIP, that means the goods which were in the manufacturing process, they will be converted to finished goods, isn't it? So, cost of completed production, that is FG control account debit to WIP account. Now the finished goods stock will increase and the WIP will decrease. That is what I told you. Whatever is increasing, you have to take that. After that, the selling and distribution expenses. Sir, how do you find out the selling and distribution expenses? The first entry will be the incurred for, right? The first entry will be for the incurred one. That is selling and distribution overheads control to GLA. Selling and distribution overheads control to GLA. This is the incurred one. Now it has to be absorbed. Now, where will it be absorbed? It will be absorbed in the cost of sales. Just see here. Where do we take the selling and distribution overheads? It will be absorbed in the cost of sales. right? Because it is after identifying what is the cost of the goods which have been sold, right? So the entry will be cost of sales to selling and distribution overheads control account. This is important, sir. After that, cost of goods sold. Now you have sold the goods. What is the cost? What is the total cost related to that? The cost of sales account debit to FG control account, right? What is the total cost? Total cost will be here when you are talking about this, you are talking about the total cost. Total cost will be the production cost, that is from WIP, plus selling and distribution cost also. That is why this selling and distribution cost is taken to cost of sale, right? That is why it is taken to cost of sales. Okay, now if it is returned, then FG control to cost of sale, the entry will be reversed. Transfer of the ultimately the cost of sales will be transferred to costing profit and loss account. Entry will be costing profit and loss to cost of sales, because the sales and whatever the profit or loss is, it will be adjusted through costing P&L account, right? The sales realization, that means you have sold the goods and whatever you have collected out of that, that is GLA to costing P&L account, right? This entry can be split into two parts. This entry can be GLA, that is cash to sales, and the second entry can be sales to, ultimately the sales will be transferred to profit and loss account. So sales to costing P&L account. So instead of two entries, what we have done is we are just putting up a single entry, that is GLA to costing P&L account. You can split it into two parts and post two entries. That is totally your choice if you wish to do like that. If there is profit on the sale, then costing P&L to GLA. If there is loss, then GLA to costing profit and loss account. And if there is sales return, then this entry will be reversed. Reverse entry for sales return. So all these are the journal entries related to material, labor, overheads, and the finished goods. Any doubts up till this point? That will be cost of sales to finished goods only. If it is sent on approval also, then also we will book it on the cost. Because the finished goods have gone, sir, finished goods will be reduced and the cost of sales will be there. And whenever they return back, you will reverse the entry. It is equivalent to sales. Right, Jayant? Example of what, Rupak? Example of what? So in the examination, what you will get is, sir, you will get the preparation of accounts. Now, how you have to prepare the accounts, just listen to it very carefully. Very important, sir. They will ask you to prepare the various accounts. What you have to do in the examination is, first of all, you have to draw all the formats. For example, they ask SLC account, draw the format, right? Leave around 7 to 8 lines for every account. After that, wages account. Just prepare the account, leave. For wages account, you have to just leave 3-4 lines. That's it. Not much required. Then WIP account. Right? After that, FG account. After that, factory overheads account. Factory overheads control account. Right? Then in the end, after preparing all the accounts, you have to prepare the GLA account. Keep it in the end because you will need more lines for this. At least 12-15 lines you will need for GLA account. So now what you have to do is, if there is an entry for the purchase of raw material, that is SLC to GLA, post it simultaneously in both the accounts. That is SLC, here you will write to GLA, here you will write to GLA 10,000 rupees, And here you will write what? In the GLA you will write by SLC 10,000 rupees. Right? If there is issue of material to WIP, so what will be the entry? WIP to SLC. So here you will write by WIP 4,000 rupees, and in the WIP account simultaneously you have to post to SLC 4,000 rupees. Right? So please be very careful with this thing, that post double entries simultaneously. Do not think that first we will complete one account, then we will move on to the next account. No, this is not the way you have to do the question. Right? You have to prepare all the accounts, leave 7-8 lines for everything except for wages. It require less number of lines, but the GLA account will require more number of lines, right? And in the WIP part, one thing you have to be careful about, if there is under or over absorption of overheads. For example, here you have the various overheads, right? Here you have incurred overheads of, let's say, 20,000, and here you have the absorbed overheads. Here you have the absorbed overheads of, let's say, 15,000. So what will happen, sir? You will have a under absorption of 5,000. From here you will have what? You will have under absorption of 5,000. Now you have two options here. Two options here, sir. If there is under absorption, one option is that here you take by costing P&L, by costing profit and loss account 5,000. In reconciliation statement, normally the two scenarios we are following. The first scenario is that we consider it that this, whatever the under absorption is due to the abnormal reasons, is due to the mismanagement, right? And we take it to costing profit and loss account, or what you can do is you can balance carry down it to 5,000. Now, sir, how will we identify whether it is to be taken to costing P&L or whether it is to be taken to balance carried down? If the first thing, if the opening balance is there for the WIP, if the opening balance is available, that means we are following this policy of carry forwarding the under and over absorption, right? Then you can take this balance carried down. If we have here to balance brought down, if we already it is given in the question to balance brought down, then you can carry forward it. Secondly, if the costing P&L account is given in the question, costing P&L account is asked to be prepared in the question, then you can take it to costing P&L. Otherwise, avoid taking it to costing P&L account. If the costing P&L is not required in the question, is not given in the question, then avoid taking costing P&L and balance carried down. Write it as balance carried down. Otherwise, if costing P&L is given in the question, then you can transfer it to costing P&L also. Clear? So these are the small tips regarding how to attempt the question regarding this cost accounting systems. I hope this much is clear. So please be very careful with these, how to deal with the question, these tricks for solving the question. This will really help you in the examination, that how you have to solve these questions, how you have to follow the small things that will save your time, plus that will help you fetch more marks by avoiding the simple mistakes. Right? Clear? RKM. Great. Now, so with this, the cost accounting system is over, sir. The next topic is reconciliation. The next topic is reconciliation. Now, what is reconciliation? The reconciliation is, that means reconciling two things. When is the reconciliation required? It is required in case of non-integrated books only. It is required in case of non-integrated books only. Right? That means you are required to reconcile cost and financial books. Reconcile cost and financial books. Right? Now, how this reconciliation takes place, listen to it very carefully. What you will be given in the examination, you will be given the profit as per cost books, profit as per cost books, and you will be given the profit as per financial books. Profit as per financial books. Now you have to reconcile these two profits. Cost books profit says it is 1 lakh. The financial book profit says no, it is 1,20,000. So you need to find out why there is a difference between the profit as per the cost books and as per the financial books. Why there is a difference, sir? First you need to understand the difference is because some of the transactions will be recorded only in the cost books. Some of the transactions will be recorded only in the financial books, not in the cost books. So ultimately we need to reconcile them. How to reconcile them? Just like the bank reconciliation statement you have already studied about, right? So you will start with, whenever there is a question on the reconciliation, you can start either with the profit as per cost books, or you can start with the profit as per financial books. How, sir? Whenever you are going to prepare a statement of reconciliation, you will say profit as per cost books. Profit as per cost books. Now you will make here the adjustments. Plus minus is for the adjustments. Now which book will you adjust? Sir, the book, the profits of whom you are starting with. If you are starting with the cost books, that means you will make all the adjustments in the cost books so that these cost books match with the financial books. Ultimately, after all the adjustments, what you will get is the profit as per financial books, right? Yes, like interest is there, goodwill is there, or these kind of, if the dividend is there, all these things are recorded in the financial books only, purely financial incomes and expenses. Those are not recorded in the cost books. Now, if there is any confusion, listen to it. If there is any confusion regarding the treatment, that whether any item is to be added or whether any item is to be subtracted, if you have any confusion, I have a very simple strategy. For example, he says there is an entry which says the interest income of rupees 10,000 credited in financial books. Credited in financial books. Okay, remember one thing here. It is not necessary that you have to start with the cost books only. You can start with the financial books also. Right? It is not necessary. There is no hard and fast rule, sir. You can start with the financial books, adjustments according to the financial books to reach the profits as per the cost books. So you can do both ways. Right? You can do both ways. So if there is interest of 10,000 credited in the financial books, now if you start with the cost books, you do not know that how to adjust this. Remember, just prepare two things. One, just prepare the cost book like this. You will say this is the cost book. You will say this is the financial book. Right? Let's say the GP is same. The GP here 1 lakh rupees. The GP here 1 lakh rupees. Fine, sir. Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you. Keep sharing with all your friends. That's the only request to all of you. Right? And सब्सक्राइब तो आप लोगों ने कर ही लिया होगा, दैट्स फॉर श्योर. आई वोंट से सब्सक्राइब कर लो, बट सब्सक्राइब तो आप लोगों ने कर ही लिया होगा. बट कीप शेयरिंग, राइट? वी नीड अ कम्युनिटी बिकॉज for the new course also we are coming up with CMA, management accounting and FMBDA. Very soon we are coming up with those courses also, right? Exclusively for CMA people. Okay, now what is there? He says the interest income of 10,000 credited in the financial books. So here it is having the interest income of 10,000. In the cost books, it is not recorded, sir, because the cost department is not aware of whether you are receiving any interest, dividend, rent, whatever it is. So what is the net profit here? The net profit here is 1,10,000. And what is the net profit as per cost book, sir? It is 1 lakh. Now, if you want to adjust this 1 lakh to match with the financial profits, what will you do? You will add this interest income in the cost 10,000. Now it is 1,10,000 which matches with my costing profit, right? So this is how you have to identify that whether you have to add something or whether you have to subtract something. On this basis you can easily identify, sir. On this basis you can easily identify whether something is to be added or whether something is to be subtracted, right? This is on this basis the reconciliation statement will be prepared. Similar way it can be for the expenses. Let's take an example for expenses also. For example, I can say the dividend expense or interest expense itself we can take. Let's say the interest expense of rupees 10,000 debited in financial books, right? How will you treat it? Sir, you will prepare here the cost books, right? And here you will prepare the financial books. Now, let's say the GP is 1 lakh rupees. Here also the GP is 1 lakh rupees, right? Now, here you have an interest expense to interest 10,000. So, what is your net profit? What is your net profit, sir? 90,000. And here you do not have any interest expense. The costing department hasn't recorded it. So, what is the net profit here? The net profit is 1 lakh rupees. Now, if you have to adjust this profit, what will you do? You will subtract from here the interest of 10,000. 90,000. Now it will match, sir. Now it will match, right? Let's take another example. Another example very important, that is under absorption of overheads. Under absorption of overheads to the tune of rupees 10,000. Now, how will you treat this under absorption of overheads, sir? How will you treat it? Again, you will prepare the cost books, right? And you will prepare the financial books, right? Let's say the GP here is 1 lakh. The GP here is 1 lakh. Now, in the financial books, whether you will take the absorbed overheads or whether you will take the actual overheads, just let me know. In the financial books, whether you will take the absorbed overheads or whether you will take the actual overheads. In the financial books I am talking about. Which books? I am talking about the financial books, sir. Which overheads you will take in the financial books? Actual. Suresh is saying actual, okay. Rest of the people? In the financial books, that's correct, you will take actual overheads. Now, actual overheads. Let's say my actual overheads incurred are 30,000. In the cost books, I will take what is absorbed. So here I will have absorbed overheads. Now he says the under absorption of 10,000. That means you have absorbed 10,000 less than this. That is absorbed overheads is 20,000. So what is my net profit here? 70,000. What is my net profit here? 80,000. So what will you do here? Abhishek, actuals will be recorded in the financial books. Actuals will be recorded. Now, to match my costing profit with the financial profit, what I will do? I will subtract the under absorption of overheads. Under absorbed overheads, 10,000 I will subtract so that my profit matches with the costing and the financial profit. Clear? The same way, the reverse, you can do it for the over absorption of overheads, right? Just do it yourself. You can do it the same way you can do it for the over absorption of overheads. Clear, sir? In the financials, we will record the actuals, and in the costing books, we will record the absorbed part, right? Correct. So I hope this is clear. So we are done with this reconciliation part also. So target achieved, sir. We have covered cost sheet, we have covered the cost accounting systems, and we have covered the reconciliation. Tomorrow we will be taking up unit and batch costing, job costing, and contract costing, right? 3 chapters tomorrow, done and dusted. Contract costing. Then day after tomorrow on Sunday, we'll try to cover process costing and joint and byproducts, right? Then we'll be left with standard, marginal, budgetary, and service. Any doubts you have in the today's session? Vikas, you can start with any. That is what I have already told you, that there is no hard and fast rule. Only the concept, only the part will change. You can start with the financial profits also, or you can start with the costing profits also. If you are going to start with the financial profits, then you have to adjust the financial profits. If you are going to start with the cost profits, then you have to adjust the cost profits, right? This all adjustment is, we are adjusting the costing profits. If you want to start with the profit as per the financial books, then you have to adjust this financial book, right? Whatever the profits you start with, adjust those profits. Okay, so if everything is clear, we can end the today's session, and tomorrow we will meet for another session, right? Try to cover 3-4 chapters, whatever their contract costing and all, will try to cover as fast as possible, right? So see you guys tomorrow. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, keep studying, keep sharing. Thank you so much.